After that, it was time for Sheamus and Rusev in a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. Anything goes, pinfall or submission in the ring. Again, it's not false count anywhere. Pinfall or submission in the ring is the only way to win this match. Now, this is a good moment here, since I just got done talking about the women, and I'm about to talk about Sheamus. I just very briefly want to talk about a couple of videos that I saw on social media today. I saw Rhea Ripley tweet out what she did, talking about fans in France who swarmed her earlier today and literally had her up against the door of her Uber as she was trying to get in her Uber to get to the arena or wherever it was that she was going. She wasn't on the show tonight, but she was there. And it was scary. It was scary because there was nobody there with her. There's no security. There's nobody from WWE. There's no other wrestlers there with her. She's all by herself. And she is swarmed by this group of people that are just obsessed with getting up in her face and taking selfies and sticking papers in her face for her to autograph. And it's just overwhelming. And then I saw video, it must have been in a mall. I don't know where they were. But Sheamus was also mobbed by a group of people to the point where there was a female fan in the group that was almost trampled over. And Sheamus had to tell everybody, hey, back up. And he's like talking to the fan, are you okay? Are you okay? Again, very scary situation here because everybody is all up in their space. And there's nobody there, seemingly, to separate them from what I could tell. So this has been a recurring theme in other places as well. It's not like France is the only place where this has happened. This has happened in other places as well. And when it comes to the women in WWE, obviously there have been some very scary situations in the past, right? Sonya Deville, Roxanne Perez, Liv Morgan, everybody has had stalkers in different situations, even far more serious than this. But in situations like this, it's to the point now where I don't see how WWE cannot, especially for some of these top female names who are super popular on social media and have people who are just absolutely obsessed with them. It's to the point now where WWE and TKO need to very seriously consider, when they are in these places for these PLEs, having these talents escorted around by security. This is what it's come to now. Because at some point, something very bad is going to happen. And we'll be talking about this and having this conversation after the fact, after something bad has already happened. The whole point is to try to avoid that altogether and not get to a point where something really bad happens, because people just have no self-control. Part of it is that people get all swept up in celebrity. Oh my God, I can't believe Sheamus is right here and Rhea Ripley is over here, right? And they get all nervous and they get starstruck. And that's totally normal, but that's very different than getting up in someone's personal space or putting your hands on them and swarming them and stampeding them. You cannot do that. Like, I'm watching that video of Rhea Ripley by her car being swarmed by these absolute fucking losers. And I'm like, why in the world would you think that it is appropriate to conduct yourself in this way? Why? And it's not just kids. I mean, these are people that are old enough to where they should know better. Like, it can't be allowed to happen like that anymore. There's going to have to be somebody who steps in and says, okay, we need to have people escorting these women around when they are in these places, because it is a very dangerous situation. Or maybe come up with like a buddy system, you know, where you have some of the male talents hanging out with them. I don't know, but something has to happen here, because this is not the first time something like this has happened. And at least in the Sheamus video, Sheamus was there. He was able to kind of back people up and check on that person and make sure that fan was okay. But I'm telling you, there's going to come a point where something, you know, there won't be a Sheamus there. There was a video not that long ago in an airport. I think it might have been Rhea. And there was somebody who was hounding her, and Kevin Owens was there. Kevin Owens came over and just to check on her and said, "Are you okay?" And Rhea was like, yeah, I'm fine. This can't happen. Now, in this match, they had a makeshift bar that was set up at ringside, which I could certainly use after the last match we just talked about. They also had giant barrels of Irish whiskey at ringside. I'm shocked they weren't branded. They brand everything else. They brand the tables. I'm shocked they didn't have branding, Fireball whiskey branding on the side of the barrels. Shockingly, I know this is going to be a big surprise to some of you, but they brawled to start the match. And so we had here the action spilling outside very early. Sheamus ran Rusev into the ring post. Sheamus quickly grabbed a Slim Jim table. Rusev, though, ran Sheamus into the ring post and then grabbed a Slim Jim table of his own. And he set it up next to Sheamus's Slim Jim table. And after all of this, they took the action back in the ring. After all that, they left the tables out there and the action spills into the ring. Rusev hit Sheamus with a kendo stick over and over and over again. Rusev then gave Sheamus the 10 beats. He pulled a turnbuckle pad off, ran into an Irish Curse backbreaker, though. Sheamus grabbed the kendo stick and hit Rusev with it multiple times. And then he grabbed multiple chairs from underneath the ring. Sheamus missed Rusev with a chair shot, and Rusev hit a heel kick. Only got a 1 count out of it. Rusev grabbed the chair, and he started working Sheamus over with it. The two of them battled for possession of a chair. Rusev came away with it, but then promptly ran into a running knee strike. After that, Sheamus took his own move back, and he hit Rusev with the 10 beats. Rusev threw Sheamus over the makeshift bar that was set up outside the ring. Then he grabbed a bar stool. Sheamus, though, punched Rusev and gave Rusev 10 beats over the bar. He tried to leave through the crowd, Rusev did. Sheamus, though, stopped him and gave Rusev 10 beats with a shillelagh. Back inside the ring, Sheamus ran Rusev into the chair that Rusev had wedged earlier in between the ropes. And then Sheamus hit a Celtic cross, only for a 2 count. Sheamus set up for a brogue kick. Rusev rolled out to the floor wisely. Sheamus climbed up top. When he came down, though, on the floor, Rusev blasted him in the midsection with a kendo stick right across the ribs. Rusev dismantled the ring steps that were over by the bar and slammed Sheamus through the bar. I think it was a Uranagi through the bar. Back inside, Rusev locked in the accolade, but Sheamus slammed Rusev backwards onto a pile of chairs. The action spilled back outside, and the two of them fought on top of the whiskey barrels. Now, I don't know how tall the whiskey barrels were. They were tall enough that when they were standing on top of them, they were fairly high up there. So they're on top of the whiskey barrels. Rusev locks in the accolade to Sheamus on top of the barrels. And they got this great shot, like a faraway camera shot where you see all the fans in the background and you just see them there right on top of those barrels. It just was a really cool visual. So he had him in the accolade. Sheamus, though, worked out of it. And then he ended up hitting White Noise off the barrels down through the 2 Slim Jim tables that were set up earlier in the match. And so they go crashing and burning through the 2 tables. Both men dragged themselves back into the ring. The crowd was very loud for them both. They were super into this match. Rusev grabbed the shillelagh, but when he turned around, Sheamus caught him with a brogue kick. And you're thinking, okay, that's it. Covers him, and he kicks out. And what made it so great is that the brogue kick, after all these years, is still one of the most protected moves in all of wrestling. Very, very few people kick out of the brogue kick. It's happened before, but it's not a regular, like John Cena's attitude adjustment, right? I mean, at some point, I've probably kicked out of the attitude adjustment. You've probably kicked out of the attitude adjustment, but you've never kicked out of a brogue kick before. So they made it out like a big deal that Rusev was able to kick out. Rusev came back and he cracked that shillelagh right across Sheamus's back, almost like a knockout shot. He shoots the half, he covers him. Sheamus kicks out at 2.9. And Rusev is beside himself. He's screaming, he can't believe it, he's just incredibly frustrated. So he goes for the accolade, but he's using the shillelagh across Sheamus's mouth. It's like in his mouth, and he's pulling back on it. And what ends up happening is Rusev falls backwards. Now, I thought they were about to do a spot where Sheamus falls backwards and pins Rusev. Rusev's shoulders were not down. His back was down, but not his shoulders. But he still had the move locked in, and he had that bar across Sheamus's mouth. So picture when Edge used to break the bottom piece off of a chair and place the bar in someone's mouth. He did it to Roman Reigns, like in a crossface. That's basically what he was doing. Sheamus, he's got his legs around Sheamus. Sheamus ain't going nowhere. You know, he's locked in this hold. And finally, Sheamus taps out. Rusev wins the match. And they claimed on commentary, Michael Cole did, that that is only the second time in Sheamus's entire career that he has tapped out. Not passed out, but tapped out. The first time that Sheamus ever tapped out in a match was actually back in the Thunderdome era. And he tapped out in the Hurt Lock to Bobby Lashley, which honestly, in and of itself, is shocking to me that even in 2021, Sheamus had been doing this for so long, well over a decade. And it was only 4 years ago that he tapped out for the first time. So this is only the second time that he's ever tapped out in a match. Doing a real solid for his friend, because Rusev is like one of his best friends. So got no issue putting this guy over in the strongest way possible. And it really doesn't get any stronger than that. Easily the match of the night up until this point, and the best of their entire series together. I'm happy they gave these two a PLE spot. I'm really happy they gave them a PLE spot now, because this ended up being one of the best things on the entire show. The crowd was quiet for a while when this was over, just because it took a while for them to start to get back up. I mean, once Cena came out, obviously they were. But it was good that they had that gap in between the two matches, because I'm sure they needed a little come down here. But this was as fun as you could expect it to be. As when it comes to these WWE weapons matches, you kind of know what to expect. So they made the most of it. You know, I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. I thought the visual of the accolade on top of the whiskey barrels was really cool. Sheamus always delivers in these situations. Rusev needed this because Rusev has not had that one standout match since coming back to WWE. And he's been back for several months now. So he really needed, I think, a match like this. Sheamus was able to give it to him. The win means more for him than it would for Sheamus because Rusev really needed something. The only question now is, okay, he won. Do they have some big push in mind for him? I don't know. You know, the two champions on the brand are both heels. So I don't think that's in his immediate future. So where do you go from here with him? I mean, you could feud him with a big name like a Jey Uso or someone like that, but there's got to be something in mind. Otherwise, this goes to waste and it doesn't mean anything. Like a win over Sheamus in a PLE match like this and tapping him out should have value. It should mean something, but only if you can follow up with something meaningful. That's going to be up to Paul Levesque and what he has planned for this guy. So I certainly hope that they have some plan in mind for him coming out of this. Sheamus continues to be basically, you know, a gatekeeper on the Raw brand. Hopefully he will have his story at some point for the IC title. That's still the biggest story that they have not done with him yet. They've kind of danced around it and what the title means to him, but he still has yet to win the Intercontinental Championship. So hopefully at some point he will get his story. As far as what Rusev's next story is, we'll have to wait until Monday and see. But he needs to be on that show Monday night. And they have to give us some indication of what's coming next for him.